The spiritual experience that we are constantly talking about in a million different ways are just a different language used to articulate many times. In many instances, these aren't based on some kind of abstraction. These spiritual philosophies, these spiritual practices, these ways that we articulate our personal spiritual experience or whatever, these don't come from a place of disassociation or disembodiment or abstraction, ambiguity, right? They come from somewhere. They come from a very real, materially lived experience. And again, our perception of external stimuli, all of it, whether that's stimuli that we acknowledge consciously or whether that's stimuli, external stimuli that's impacting our subconscious all the time, right? And the reason that I'm saying this is because this question of, there's a lot of questions out there where spirituality is concerned. And that's the other thing. I'll say this, right? Super spiritual, political, whatever. They don't acknowledge spirituality is something as significant and real and valid, in this process of us being able to live a life. But the opposite is true as well. People who are so super spiritual, so super, like detached from the earth, or what have you, have a bad habit of being so disembodied, so disconnected, so bypassing that that to acknowledge the material world, to live fully in the material world, right, eludes them, because somehow to be in the material world, exist in the material world, be concerned about those things happening in the material world will lessen or impede on their spiritual journey or their ascension or whatever the fuck they own on any given day. This is the divide that rests between these spaces: political spaces, historical spaces, scientific spaces, activist spaces, and spiritual spaces. This is the big chasm, the big void that exists in all of them. This is the place that we have to lay in. This is the place that we have to live in. Greetings, Carlotta. This is the place we have to live in. This is the place that we have to step into. You understand? Is how to be whole. How to be whole. And what that is supposed to afford us is the ability at any given time to think and move and behave and interact holistically. You can never achieve, quote, a holistic life if you are disembodied from the whole. You a, quote, individual. How that work? How you an individual sitting inside of a whole that's suffering? How are you, the picture and personification of perfect health, wellness, and happiness sitting in a sea of suffering? How that happen? How that work? So I'm always telling y'all that we're all sick. While one is sick, we are all sick. While one is not well, we all are not well. This ain't a stretch. This ain't a stretch. You understand what I'm saying? You would have no problem saying that a person, right, who has cancer, like identifiable now, cancer, you understand, and recognize that it took a singular cell gone rogue, a singular cell, for whatever reason, forgetting its biological mechanisms and how it is supposed to function within the whole of these other billions of cells that exist in the one, in the whole. That is you, right? That one singular cell, and it may take a long time, but that rogue cell is indicative of something wrong with the whole, not with just the cell itself. Something has happened to the whole, and the cell becomes the place where this thing that has happened and has been left unresolved manifests itself. And if it goes on longer, then that cell becomes 2, and those 2 become 4, and those 4 become 8, until finally After 10 years, after 15 years of those cells going rogue, right? And you experiencing symptoms all along, and you reject them, or you ignore them, or you, because of whatever, the medical system is terrible and you scared to go to doctors, whatever it is. After a while, the body will say, hey, now this ain't no shit we can ignore no more. We've been giving you symptoms. You know what I'm saying? We've been making your belly hurt. You feel me? We've been giving you all these symptoms all along to get on top of this thing, and you have ignored it. And so now here we are. Now you have to have these invasive processes done because you could not pay attention to me. That's us. That's us. There are 8.5 billion people on the planet. We the 8.5 billion cells of Mother Earth's body. And so when we have a philosophy like, I'm an individual in spite of the whole, I'm gonna have my happiness and my wellness and my wealth and my abundance at everybody's expense, that's a cell gone rogue. That's a cell that's forgotten who it is in the grand scheme of the whole, how it's supposed to function, what's its predetermined destiny is. Every cell has a job to do. That job is made clear at inception. At inception, these cells say, I know exactly what my job is, when I'm supposed to die so I can be reborn as a new cell. Am I going to be a liver cell? Am I going to be a lung cell? You feel me? Every cell. This is a perfect orchestration of what we're supposed to be living in the outside orchestration. Gone rogue, run amok. You feel me? The reason I'm saying that is because we have to live in this space where these things that are seemingly unrelated, and they're seemingly unrelated because our owners have made them so. The dichotomies have been created by our owners to do exactly what it does. These dichotomies, these chasms that lay between these things that together, working in perfect harmony, would represent a whole self within the body of the mother, a whole human race, a whole humanity functioning in accord, even with very specific differences manifested. Those differences would not be the point of contention, you see. These differences would not be seen as antagonistic if we were functioning holistically within the body of the one, right? And so all of these things that are symptoms of her unwellness, right? The hole in the ozone layer, the terrorizing of the waters and the cutting down of the rainforest and the, what you call that shit? The crisis of waste and how much waste all of these are symptoms. And just like we would treat a person, yes, we can treat the symptoms at the same time that we are getting to the root of the condition that has expressed itself as these myriad of symptoms in the first place, which is the world that we're living in. But we cannot do that. We are crisis managing is what we're doing. We've been trained just to crisis manage. Pick at every single freaking issue that manifests itself from capitalism and, colonialism and imperialism and all the isms. You feel me? To keep, what did Mary Daly say? To keep us chasing our motherfucking tails in circles. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but she said that. She said these things, yes, we become the incessant superheroes trying to save the world, but that shit is an orchestration to keep our energy diverted from what the issue is and how to adequately address it, how to get to the root of the matter so that we can heal it. Exercise it if need be, root it out to pave a new way forward. And this is the space that we have to live in. We have to live in the space that bridges these chasms created